Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we'll be discussing one of the important topics prevalent today in behavioral finance, that is financial anxiety. You guys must be knowing about the term of being anxious. This term financial anxiety has turned up recently, where studies and reports have stated that after the pandemic, after COVID 19, a lot of people have started feeling financially anxious. Why is it so? There could be many reasons, maybe they're overburdened by debt, maybe they don't feel secure in their jobs because of all the layoffs that are happening, because economy is moving towards gig economy, and also because there are a lot of expenses that they need to meet and they are not able to fulfill that particular demand. So all these things actually pile up together and make a person financially anxious. So in today's video, we'll be talking about what is financial anxiety, how financial anxiety affects us, what are the symptoms of a financially anxious person, and how we can curb financial anxiety. Also, we'll be doing a little quiz in between, where I'll be giving you out a questionnaire to fill, and eventually you can analyze whether you are on low financial anxiety, high financial anxiety, or moderate level financial anxiety. Financial anxiety is the emotional and psychological stress a person faces because of his financial condition. So it's basically a worry wherein a person thinks if he'll be able to meet his financial needs or not. So this financial anxiety can happen at any stage, at any age, at any point in your life. So a 60-year-old person might be financially anxious because he is thinking about his after retirement expenses, or after retirement how he will be able to manage his finances. A 20-year-old student can be financially anxious because there are a lot of unexpected expenses that he has to pay, or most probably a 40-year-old person can be financially anxious because he's taken a loan and he has to repay that particular loan. So financial anxiety can happen at any phase in your life. Being financially anxious can actually lead to a lot of things. Firstly, you might have mental health problems. Mental health problems, basically, you are under a lot of stress. You might get into, anxiety or depression, and it can actually mess up your head. So the first thing is that it affects your mental health. Secondly, it affects your physical health because of the stress and the worry you are living in. You're always anxious about the kind of financial well-being that you are prevailing right now, the financial condition, the financial status you are in. Because of that particular thing, you might feel a lot of physical health issues, like there can be digestive problems, there can be weak immune system, you might feel like high blood pressure, and there can be maximum to maximum it can go up to cardiovascular diseases, heart diseases as well. So physical health, mental health, and physical health gets affected. Also, third thing, your relationship with people also gets affected, because of the worry and the stress, you are always very irritated. And because you are irritated, you might get into conflicts, you might get into fights with people who are around you, and it affects your relationships as well. Fourthly, it affects your work, the job that you are in. Because of the stress, you are not focused on your job, you're always thinking about that particular thing, your finances. You're always thinking about how to curb, how to actually pay back your expenses, how to earn more money. You're always financially anxious, and because of that, you are not focusing on the work that has been given to you, and it affects your work life. So it affects your mental health, your physical health, your relationships, and your work. Then it also, leads to avoidance behaviors. Once you are financially anxious, you would you would avoid certain behaviors, like you would avoid checking your bank account balance, you would avoid going to the bank, you would actually delay your financial decisions, you will delay paying your bill. All these things leads to the avoidance behaviors. Basically, if you're financially anxious, you might develop this particular avoidance behavior. Then, after this, substance abuse. Substance abuse is also one of the major drawbacks of being financially anxious, because once you're financially anxious, substance abuse basically means to reduce the stress. You might, feel like doing drugs, you might get into alcoholism, you might feel like taking medications for that particular thing which are not good for your health. So in that case, you need to figure out that one of the major consequence of being financially anxious is that you get into substance abuse, and it's not a good thing at all. Lastly, it actually affects the quality of your life, because you guys now know that it impacts you as like your mental health, your physical health, your relationships, work, and you are getting into avoidance behavior, you are actually into substance abuse. Then obviously your life has been messed up completely, and in that particular case, your quality of life, actually living your life with all the aspirations and everything, it just reduces, it gets decreased, and you're not living your life completely. So, in case you're feeling financially anxious, there are certain things you can do to actually feel a little more secured about your finances. First thing, actually look out where your expenses are going. So, you need to actually sit down and write down all the expenses that you have. You need to figure out where your money is going, where you are spending all that money. Then once that particular expenses you've tracked where all the expenses are going, the second thing is you need to plan your expenses. You need to create a budget. You need to see, okay, this is particular income that I am generating, and this is where my income will go into such expenses. So just make a plan, make a budget, because it will help you to actually reduce down your worry. You will actually know, okay, this much income I have earned, and this is how I will be allocating my income into various resources. So it will be a planned thing for you, and it will give you less stress. Once you've tracked your expenses, you've created a budget. Third thing is prioritizing your expenses. You need to see which expenses you need to meet first and which afterwards. In my previous video, I talked about that there are certain expenses, necessity expenses, and then there are discretionary expenses. So you need to prioritize your necessity expenses first, And afterwards, your discretionary expenses that are basically on shopping, entertainment, gymming. So these are expenses you can pay afterwards as well, after paying your major necessity expenses. So you need to keep that particular thing in mind. Also, you need to know how to deal with financial anxiety. Talk to a friend about it. You're feeling stress, you need to um, go and talk to someone about it. I would suggest you go out and take professional advice, take professional help, and it will actually make you feel better about